out with a little survey right now. How many of you were involved in any extracurriculars activities when you were little or are involved now? So like sports, theater, music, clubs, things like that. Okay, almost everybody. All right, well, according to a 2014 survey conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau, about 57 out of every 100 children ages 6 to 17 participate in at least one after-school activity. If you weren't involved in these activities, that's like totally fine, that's cool. Circumstances don't always allow for children to play sports or be in clubs and things like that. However, there are many benefits to children being involved in organized activities. They include responsibility, discipline and good behavior, increased academic achievement, communication skills, and perseverance and work ethic. Now, like I said, these benefits can come from a myriad of all different places, but they're very commonly found in extracurricular activities. My two younger brothers and I have participated in all sorts of extracurricular activities since we were very little, from like baseball, basketball, band, 4-H, other things like that. So, and I know how much they've impacted us. So this may not affect you now, but if you have kids in the future or nieces or nephews, you may want to consider these things when you're thinking about what they want to spend their time doing. So the first one we'll talk about is responsibility. Responsibility comes almost naturally when you're in extracurricular activities because you have to know the schedule of the activity that you're in and be at the events on time. So practices, rehearsals, I was late to a practice once this season, it wasn't fun, and now I know that I need to not be late to a practice again. I need to be responsible with my time. Following the rules and regulations of the activity, so for my volleyball club, we had a dress code, we had to wear primetime volleyball club attire, and at Concordia here for volleyball, we have to wear the same shirt every day, otherwise there's a punishment. Making time for rehearsing or practicing your activity on your own. This is a big one. You have to be responsible with your own time. So like music practice, rehearsing your theater lines, practicing your sport, or conditioning or lifting on your own. And finally, one of the most important ones for me has always been remembering all the supplies I need for the activity that I'm going to. So when I was little, my parents always said, you pack your own sports bag, you make sure you have your socks, your uniforms, you make sure your uniforms are clean, things like that. It's always been my responsibility to do that. The next one we'll talk about is discipline and good behavior. A 2011 article by Aaron Massoni at the College of DuPage said that students who are involved in extracurricular activities tend to have fewer behavioral issues than their peers that are not involved. So, for example, youth in sports are expected to perform well and have discipline in practice and in drills, and they are rewarded for this success. They see that they're better off by being disciplined and following instructions as it leads to rewards, so that spills over into other aspects of their lives. An article by John H. Holloway says that the most common time for kids to misbehave is the time between school ending and that their parents get home, so like 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock about. After school activities that take up this time, they take up the time and make it less likely for youth to engage in bad behavior. So they'll be in the gym or at a club or at an activity, and they'll be less likely to misbehave because they're being supervised. Next, we'll talk about increased academic success. So many organizations have academic eligibility requirements they require their members to follow. So I know sports especially have this in high school. A lot of times you have academic eligibility requirements, and you have it in college here too. So if a kid wants to participate in an activity, they have to keep their grades up, and that leads to increased academic success. A study of 421 high school students conducted by Drake University shows that students who do not participate in extracurricular activities have significantly lower GPAs than their peers that do participate. So in this study, most of the students involved in activities had like a 2.5 GPA or higher, and their peers that didn't a lot of them were below a 2.0. So that was really startling to me. I'd always heard that athletics and clubs and activities lead to increased academic success, but I'd never actually really seen numbers, so that research was really interesting to me. Next, the biggest one maybe is communication skills. Being involved in extracurricular activities helps young people develop communication skills that are invaluable to their future. So one of the first ones is public speaking. And you see this a lot in speech and debate and speech teams and things like that. How to express opinions and ideas to a group, so not being timid when it comes to expressing your feelings and opinions. How to communicate effectively with teammates and peers, so making sure you're not being rude to others, but also still getting your point across. Next, how to talk to adults respectfully and effectively. This is a big one. Many kids, including myself, I was terrified of talking to my coaches when I was younger. I didn't know how to talk to them or what to do when talking to an adult, and being in extracurricular activities really helped me to become more confident in that. And also, adult leaders can often become mentors to the kids that they are mentoring. Coaches, and a lot of times we see this in college sports, coaches and teachers are called like parent figures, like a person will call their coach a father figure, a mother figure, things like that. And another big one is how to talk through disagreements civilly and respectfully. Learning to respect opinions from an early age and respond to them in appropriate ways, so not lashing out when someone doesn't agree with you and things like that. These communication skills build confidence and self-esteem in young people. Research by Everett Calapolo shows that students develop greater self-concept and self-esteem when they are validated by their peers. So if you're around a group of people who are telling you that what you're saying is valuable, so in a sport or a club, you're more likely to have greater self-concept, which is how you see yourself, and self-esteem, which is how you value yourself. And finally, perseverance and work ethic. So how many of you have ever failed at something? 100%? Okay. So Kentucky mentioned in his demonstration speech that he failed at juggling a soccer ball before when he first started doing it, and I used to be really bad at volleyball. Low-key, I'll admit it. So what would have happened, Kentucky, what would have happened if you quit trying to juggle a soccer ball if you read at the beginning?
I probably wouldn't be here at Concordia.
Same, I probably wouldn't be here playing volleyball if I quit right away. And the same thing with everything you fail at, like you wouldn't go far in it if you quit right away. Perseverance is invaluable throughout life because people fail at jobs and tasks all the time, and we need to know how to overcome these failures and keep working towards success. So these are just the beginning of the numerous positive impacts that extracurricular activities have on young people. Like I said, extracurricular activities are not the only way that these values come about, but they are the most common. So now that you've heard just a few of the positive benefits that extracurricular activities provide for children, I hope that you'll consider them when deciding what your future kids will be doing with their time.